Okay, hello everyone. Introduce my name is Fitria Dawinavisa as the first author and Isbulfi Ashrafi as the second author. We are from Law Department, University of Islam Malang. I will be presenting our article about policy model for prevention and management of climate change risks on maritime biodiversity based on Green Economic Sustainable or GES. Introduction. Climate change is one of the problems that most concern the world community, including Indonesia. This global climate change has a big impact on the survival of living things because from this global warming, all aspects of living things are hampered. Climate change has succeeded in uniting the perspective and vision of countries in the world. The United Nations Framework for Climate Change, or UNFCCC, was born of the growing attention of countries on climate change. UNFCCC member states carry out activities to find the best way to counter climate change to deal with its impacts, to increase the ability to adapt to the adverse impacts of climate change. The Paris Agreement from the UNFCCC was born with its aim to produce climate resilience and low emission development without changing human food source. The Paris Agreement can be categorized as an international agreement which in its agreement has the aim of holding back the increase in the global average temperature of 2 degrees Celsius. The Paris Convention itself is a convention that was born from the development of the UNFCCC, or the United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change, is an international environmental agreement which was proclaimed at the Earth Summit in Rio de Janeiro on June 3 to 14, 1992, and began to be carried out on March 21, 1994, after being ratified by the various countries in the world. From the world of natural resources owned by the state of Indonesia, various unique species, food, biological, and vegetable, have grown, giving birth to various kinds of extraordinary potential for natural products, especially in maritime products. Climate change is very risky for all maritime aspects in Indonesia. Sea level rise caused by climate change can damage coastal ecosystem areas due to tidal waves, which can eliminate the livelihoods of people living near the coast. Biodiversity in the sea will also damage due to rising temperatures that occur. The impact of climate change on marine biota is one of the main impacts related to human life and livelihood in the future. The perceived climate change with the continuous increase in temperature will result in sea level, which will reduce the coastal area. The higher sea water temperature will have a very complex negative effect on various marine aspects, especially the biota in it. Concept of Green Economic Sustainable, or GES, is an important component of Indonesia's Sustainable Economic Development Plan. This concept is a comprehensive approach to reflect the interdependence between the economy and the ecosystem, taking into account the negative impact of economic activities on the environment from a sustainable development point of view. The implementation of Green Economic Sustainable, or GES, is not only about environmental issues, but also how to manage a limited natural resources to increase economic activity sustainability. This is in line with the long and medium-term national policies targeted at promoting for jobs, for growth, and for environment development. Literature review. Here are some previous studies with the following explanation. The first, global climate change is an issue that is currently a concern for many people. Various parties state that the influence of humans or anthropogenic on climate change is unavoidable. And while global climate change has caused catastrophic damage, including impacts on human health, ecosystems, socio-economic aspects, etc. The second, climate change is a universal phenomenon that can affect all aspects of life on Earth, including humans and their environment. One of the impacts of climate change that continues to be the talk of the international community is rising sea levels. Rising sea level can threaten the existence of coastal countries, archipelagic countries, and other countries that have interests related to the sea. Method. This research is quantitative research using a conceptual approach, a statute approach, and a philosophical approach. This research creates a policy model. The implementation of this policy model is carried out in continuous on an ongoing basis to a policy model that has been determined based on Green Economic Sustainable ODS. It is hoped that it will be a solution to balance the condition of the biodiversity ecosystem and can provide economic benefits without damaging environmental health, which can be done sustainably. This research certainly has many benefits, which are the main achievement of this. The main achievement goals that researchers hope to contribute to thinking and innovation in responding to the challenge of natural resources in Indonesia whose conditions are threatening. The next both research and discussion. The impact of climate change on marine biota is one of the many impacts related to human life and livelihood in the future. The perceived climate change with continuous increase in temperature with result in sea level, which will reduce the coastal area. The highest seawater temperature will have a very complex negative effect on various marine aspects, especially the biota in it. The impact of rising seawater temperatures can be detected when changes occur and can also be released when there are parties who feel aggrieved. The fishing industry, which is one of the important components in smallholder fisheries, commercial fisheries, and recreational fisheries, can feel the negative impact of climate change, especially in the supply of fishery stocks. It is weird that the source of protein in the sea will decrease and can affect the full development of community nutrition. This climate change will greatly affect the psychology and behavior of individuals, population, and communities in the waters. Extreme condition of rising seawater temperatures will result in low concentration in dissolved oxygen and water pH, which will result in the death of fish and marine biota. The ocean absorb more carbon dioxide, so conditions become more acidic. Extreme condition of rising seawater temperatures will result in low concentration in dissolved oxygen and water pH, which will result in the death of fish and marine biota. The ocean absorbs more carbon dioxide, so conditions become more acidic. Extreme condition of rising seawater temperatures will result in low concentration of dissolved oxygen and water pH, which will result in the death of fish and marine biota. The ocean absorbs more carbon dioxide, so conditions become more acidic. Green economic sustainable concept is an important component of Indonesia's sustainable economic development plan. This concept is a comprehensive approach to reflect the interdependence between the economy and the ecosystem, taking into account the negative impact of economic activities on the environment from a sustainable development point of view. The implementation of green economic sustainable is not only about environmental issues, but also how to manage limited natural resources to increase economic activity sustainability. This is in line with the long and medium-term national policies directed in promoting pro-jobs, pro-growth, and pro-environment development. The policy model for preventing and managing climate change risks to marine biodiversity use a systematic comparative methodology that can be used to identify national policy priorities in characterize public roles. Climate change is very rich for all maritime aspects in Indonesia. For example, sea level rise, temperature rise, and others. These risks increase the importance of climate risks to the public and policymakers. Policymakers can pay particular attention to adverse impacts on sectors deemed vital to the economy or politically sensitive. These risks are coded in the focus is theoretic or protecting biodiversity as a whole, given the risks that climate change poses to biodiversity that are often assumed that exist policies. Specific climate change intervention are needed to prepare for and respond effectively to projected future change. The result of this study has several implications for actors in the maritime sector, considering the impact of climate change on biodiversity. First, there is a need to move beyond basic action towards actual adaptation that builds on assessment and prepares communities and regions for climate change to biodiversity. Assessment, adaptation research, stakeholder engagement, and policy recommendation are important early steps of adaptation and reflect the relatively recent recognition of the relationship of biodiversity risks to climate change. For example, a description of where and how climate change risk assessment and biodiversity are integrated into existing headway warning system and maritime response standards will provide a more nuanced understanding of action taken to adapt to extreme heat risks. Second, policymakers need to involve all segments of government and facilitate through cross-sectoral cooperation and issues of climate change risks to biodiversity. National leadership from the maritime sector has not yet emerged in adaptation planning and implementation. Given the nature, the risk associated with climate change, states must take responsibility for the risks of climate change that will impact biodiversity. By involving stakeholders from various sectors, the risks implication of adaptation will be better understood and widely appreciated, encouraging the effectiveness of adaptation initiatives on biodiversity. Third, evaluation of the effectiveness of initiative needs to be carried out more broadly to improve existing adaptation and to assess the relative advantage of different adaptation approach. Awareness of the special needs of biodiversity and adaptation planning is necessary to ensure that adaptation efforts are effective for all segments of the population. Conclusion. Prevention and management of climate change risk to biodiversity depend on the application of sustainable green economy concept that can preserve ecosystem and the quality of biodiversity, destroying the oceans and reducing the quality of marine biodiversity. It can have an impact on ocean-based production system. A concert effort from all economic and social sectors is needed to maintain marine biodiversity. Saving Indonesia's biodiversity must be implemented by all parties. Related to efforts to anticipate the increasing rate of decline in biodiversity due to climate change. Human wisdom is one of the keys to the success of this effort. We need to maintain native ecosystem, protect and increase the carrying capacity of ecosystem, manage habitat for endangered species, create shelters and buffer areas, and establish a network of land, water, and marine protected areas taking into account climate change projection. Okay, everyone, finish for my presentation. Okay, next, the Q&A session. Thank you. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.